up, socials? It's Abbi J, your life coach here, and today I'm doing a video that I wanted to do for a really long time, but I want to follow up to one of my most successful videos, how to get teachers to like you. But this is college edition, because as I'm sure you've experienced if you are a freshman or a sophomore heading into college, it's different. And not only is it different because of class structure and what you're learning and the freedom of it all, but it's different with the relationships with your teachers. And so today I wanted to give you some tips that I use to make it so my teachers liked me. And this is not about being a teacher's pet. This is about being somebody that your teachers get along with, somebody that your teachers want to work with, and help you get the good grades that you deserve. So let's dive right into these tips in this video. So one of the first rules to remember about getting your teachers to like you is, one, to be a good student. And yes, this is so basic and you know it, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it, but be a good student. You know, go to class on time, raise your hand every now and then, turn in your assignments. Okay, that is the fastest and surest way to get your professors to like you. So you know those things, you've known them since kindergarten, and if you need refreshing, you can watch my video that I did almost a year ago on how to get teachers to like you. And yes, I will admit it's slightly cringeworthy, but we all have to start somewhere. So go ahead and check that out if you need a brush up on some basics, but you know this tip, so I won't spend too much time on it. But the second tip I have for you is to make sure you always show your college professors respect. Now, I don't know about you and your colleges and where you're going to school, but at my college, my professors were, a lot of them were young, like really close to my own age, but that did not mean that they were not extremely qualified for their position or that they didn't have degrees, like doctorates and crazy psycho amounts of schooling under their belt, but they seemed relatively young. And I'm sure that some of your professors come off very cool and hip or young, and it might be easy to feel like you can treat them casually because you're an adult yourself, and so it kind of changes the way that you view another instructor or professor. You're like, oh, they're my buddy, or oh, they remind me of my aunt or uncle, and that's cool. You know, you should always have that personal connection, but never lose that respect for your professor. Always make sure that you call them by their preferred title. I knew some people who got really buddy and call the professor by their first name, when with some professors that's totally cool, but with others it's not, and you need to address them as Dr. So-and-so. So be sure you read your teachers on that. Some are so cool and chill like that, but make sure you always give them that respect, whether it's in your communication or just your body language. They are very qualified to be teaching the subject that they are, and more importantly, they deserve your respect because they're somebody that is instructing you and trying to help you better your life. So be sure you're always giving your professors the respect they deserve. My third tip for you, and I'm always shocked at how extremely effective this is, but to look for personal connections with your professors. Now, at this stage of life, you've got a lot going on, and so does your professor. But that means that there's a lot that you can connect on. Maybe you are from the same area, like your families are back in another state, or maybe you saw your professor at the bowling lane and you said hi to him. Just make sure that you're always, treating them like a human being. This step comes down to that and saying hey, we're similar in the fact that we both love to wear the color purple. When you can establish those little connections, it helps you so much, because your professor, step away from high school where your teacher had 100 students that they were teaching, or maybe saw in a year, and they knew you personally, first name. Your professor is a whole nother level. They could have thousands of students, and that's why it's so important to establish those personal connections. And you get those by communicating in class, maybe when you talk to them in emails, mentioning little things like, hey, you know what, I saw that you had a Utah sticker on your bag. My family's from there too. Nice to meet a fellow Utahn, and just little ways to connect so that they can start to remember you out of the thousands of students that they do have. My fourth and last tip for you on how to get your college professors to like you is to not be afraid to ask for help. And this comes down to utilizing all those other steps of showing respect and being personal and being like a regular human being. But you know what? Not being afraid to talk to your professor and going up to them after class, because sometimes when we get to college, we feel like, oh, they have thousands of students, or they don't even know who I am. I'm so nervous to like talk to them, or I don't even know where to start. So I won't ask for help. I'll Google the answer. I'll like go ask my buddy who has their class or took their class, or look up a professor, rate my professor website, instead of just like going and having that human interaction of, hey, you know what, I didn't understand this, do you have 2 seconds? And going through the means that they like. Is that through an email and scheduling an appointment? Is that grabbing them really quick 5 seconds after class and just asking your question? Not being afraid to go up and talk to professors, asking for help or asking for clarification is one sure way that they will not only like start to realize who you are and start to know you, but that they will see that you actually are taking their class seriously. So it's a great tip, especially if you're struggling in a class, is just schedule an appointment with a professor. Don't take longer than you need. 10 minutes is usually fine. And just ask them, say, I'm not understanding this right, or can you help me out? And it goes a long way for not only showing a professor respect, but also that like it develops that connection of like, you know, I really want to learn from you, and there's a lot I can learn from you. There you have it. I know that was fast and furious, but those are my 4 tips of getting your professors to like you. And like I mentioned before, I've done a video similar to this before, so go ahead and check that out if you want. I will, of course, be sure to link some videos over here on the side that I think you'll enjoy as well. And please be sure to subscribe and like this video. So I will see you in the next one. Abbi J out.